Welcome to Balanced Life, Happy Life, where we offer solutions to the health challenges most people experience on a regular basis. And we welcome you to discover our simple and vibrant way to live a more balanced and happy life. And every Tuesday, we have an appointment, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much for being here. And along with the topic, air matters, we want to emphasize the importance of prevention. What is prevention and why is it important? The term prevention is generally used to represent activities that prevent an action or behavior from occurring in the first place. However, it can also refer to activities that promote a positive behavior. Prevention can help us to take care of our bodies and health, and as well financially. And along with that, we save a lot of money. Therefore, all the products that we offer at Niken align with the concept of prevention, and prevention is better than cure. Through these 5 vital elements, we target prevention: air, water, sleep, nutrition, and natural energies to help us to feel and be in harmony with nature. Niken is continually adding new products and technology to the Wellness Home. Be part of this important movement and start your Niken Wellness Home if you haven't done it yet. Today, we will feature air. Sometimes all you need is a little fresh and clean air. For this important gathering, please welcome Silver Consultant Liliana, Dr. Liliana Warner.
Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate that. I'm so glad to be here tonight. Thanks everyone for joining in. So we're just going to switch screens here, dive right into our presentation tonight. So give me one moment to just switch it up. Perfect. All right. How do we look, Ruben?
Great.
Great. All right, wonderful. So, really appreciate everyone being here. Let me just get my little thing out of the way here. Perfect. Okay, so I really appreciate everyone being here. This is such an important topic, one we really can't cover enough. So tonight we're going to be focusing on air, but before we dive in, I just want to say a little bit more about this wonderful slide that Ruben showed already. So this really showcases the 5 areas that Niken focuses on. And so those 5 areas are air, water, sleep, nutrition, and natural energies. And while, some of this can be utilized for, when your body needs extra support in a pinch, the best way we can utilize this, as we spoke about a second ago, is really preventative health. So my name is Dr. Liliana Warner, and I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I work out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I have been in practice almost 17 years and have been using Niken in my office and with my patients, for almost all of that time. So I really value their products. I really value how thorough they are with research and always updating their products as research changes and grows and we learn more. And, you don't see that with a lot of companies, at least I don't. I'm very particular about the companies we work with and carry in my office. And Niken is the one I've been with the longest without interruption because of the integrity of the business and the integrity of the company as a whole. So I just want to really kind of spotlight that for a second, because I think that's really important when we're looking at products to help us be healthier. So today, again, we're going to focus on air, but I also want to just throw out there that I think my new favorite newer product that we have is the throw blanket that zips into the pillow. It's totally amazing. And I love all their sleep products, all of the fabric products, the seat pad, all of that. And we use all of it in my home and at work. But I really love the blanket. So if you haven't tried one yet, please check it out. Okay, with that, we're going to dive right into the air discussion. So what is a Nikan Wellness Home? You've probably heard this term before if you've been around anyone who has any Nikan products at all, because we really love this concept and we really mean this with our mission and our goal of getting health into everyone's hands. So a Nikan Wellness Home transforms your living space into a safe haven, a place that not only supports better health and energy, but promotes balance and well-being. So I have many times heard a wellness home termed a greenhouse for humans, which I think is just such a lovely sentiment, such a lovely thought, because a greenhouse is all about growing thriving plants, right? Making a plant do the most it can, be the healthiest it can. And so the wellness home then becomes a place where you too can thrive. Okay, so today's topic is air. We're going to talk first about things that you might already kind of be familiar with. So usually when we talk about air quality, we talk about outside air quality. So let's start there. So we're just going to go over a couple statistics here. So air pollution is the fourth, and this is from 2016. So, worse now for sure. So air pollution is the fourth highest risk factor for death globally, and by far the leading environmental risk factor for disease. And this is so important to realize that, we think about go out and get a fresh breath of air, but where a lot of us live, that's not even really an option. I have to drive a good hour to get out of the city and really experience fresh air. In fact, recently I went hiking outside the city and I looked back and got to the top of the mountain. I looked back and I could see the city. And for the first time ever, I literally saw a cloud of smog or whatever over the city. It's so disturbing. And that's literally what we're breathing in every day. It's really important to have that awareness and to make sure that you do the things that are necessary to protect your body despite the environment we live in sometimes. So our second quote here, nationwide studies show that when particulate matter in air pollution goes up, premature deaths go up. So this is an especially interesting quote to me, because even during the pandemic, what we saw was that more polluted areas got hit harder with deaths from COVID and severe illness from COVID. And part of that explanation could be this particulate matter thing. And so the more dense the air pollution where you live, the less healthy the population is, right? And so that means that our immune systems are compromised to begin with. So when we have new things that our bodies aren't used to, that also is going to create more risk in those regions. So that's an important thing to know as we move forward and look at how to handle things like the last few years, right? So third quote here, despite decades of environmental efforts, over 40% of Americans, more than 137 million people, live in cities and states with poor air quality. So this is important, and this is about the air quality outside, right? But we're talking about a wellness home. So let's talk a little bit about air inside. So indoor air, as scary as this can be, usually is much more dangerous than outside air. And this surprises most people. So let's talk about this a little bit. So the air within our homes and other buildings can be more seriously polluted than the outdoor air in even the largest and most industrialized cities. And often, remember, people think, well, I'll open my windows and get fresh air in. But then we're letting in the air from outside, which we just talked about. So it's really hard to care for our indoor air. It gets stale. We have lots of things in our home, which we'll look at in a minute, that pollute our air. And then really it has nowhere to go. It just keeps circulating within our home. okay, or office or whatever space you're talking about. So 50% of all illness is aggravated by polluted indoor air, definitely by outdoor air as well. But the indoor air, again, is really as important, if not more, because this is where you sleep and live. So pollutants can be 2 to 5 times higher inside than outside. That's always so disturbing to me and so important to know, because really when I learned this sort of information is when I started to understand how important it was that I have things in my home that help me and make decisions for my home that help me breathe easy, truly, right? So we spend nearly 90% of our time indoors, get outside more, but also you're going to spend a lot of time indoors. And you want to make sure that the space you're in is really as healthy as possible. Okay, so let's talk about why or what could be contributing to that gross air in your home. Okay, so we're going to start on the top right here. So heating and air conditioning. So things like pollen and mold spores, pet hair and dander, that's a big one. Air pollution from outdoors, because as it circulates through or you open the windows, that sort of thing, then that air comes in as well, becomes trapped in your home. Then we have across on the top left, construction and furniture materials. Many products are actually made with things that put off gas and put out different chemicals into our air in our homes that we really don't want there. We shouldn't be inhaling on a regular basis. So these would be things like lead and formaldehyde, what's called volatile organic compounds. They already sound scary. Adhesives, finishes, paints. So you might be doing a fun art project with your kid, and really you're creating a lot of hazard for your breathing environment, right? And so those are things we need to consider. So carpeting, clothing, and bedding is our next little section here. So fabrics, especially if they're not made to repel or kill off stuff, they really hold a lot of dust, fiber, odors, danders. And then there's the stuff we use to clean them, right? Cleaning and preservative chemicals to keep them safer or fire retardant or whatever. And yet it actually can be more of an issue for our lungs. So different issue. So household products, what we choose to clean our house with is a big deal as far as the pollutant level that we put off in our home. So solvents, things like insecticides, herbicides, any cleansers we use, disinfectants. And this also includes even things like candles and air fresheners, stuff like that. So you want to be sure that whatever you're burning or cleaning with, that it's a really clean source, right? A more natural source. In the kitchen, we have all sorts of things that are kind of unique. So just by cooking your healthy meal, you might create smoke, you might have food waste that off gases. Some people, even save scraps for their compost, and that might be putting off stuff there. You have to be really careful about that sort of thing. Cooking odors, vapors, things that stay in your house. So all those smells that make your house smell good after you've cooked actually may not be great to be inhaling long term. So eat it and then get rid of that smell, right? So in the bathroom, this is another big one. So we tend to use not just cleaning products, but we also have things like aerosols and then sewer gas, mildew, chloroform from chlorinated water. That's a huge one. You want to know more about that? Listen to the water presentation when it's presented. We have awesome water filtration systems, especially for the shower too. And so we really want to be careful in the bathroom that we're not creating a pocket of space where we're, spraying hair products and spraying, deodorants or whatever we're doing to create a space where all that is then contained. So it's really important to be thinking about how you're using your spaces and how they're getting cleansed even in the air. So symptoms of poor indoor air quality. can be just about anything, but here are some recorded ones. So things like headaches, eye irritation, fatigue, dry throat, sinus congestion, dizziness, and nausea, to name a few. So some other things that you might not have thought of as far as things in your home are pollen. So I live in Atlanta, where we walk outside and the pollen's so dense that there are like rivers of it when it rains. And this year, especially, for whatever reason, we've had just crazy weather, 40 at night and then, almost 90 during the day kind of thing. And our seasons are all messed up. So we normally have one pollen cycle. Now we've had two pollen cycles, and everyone's really complaining a lot in my office about the amount of stuff in the air and how even when they're in their homes, they don't feel like they're escaping it like they normally can. So it's definitely been a really bad year. So this has been the year that a lot of my patients have said, I think I finally need to get an air filter. I've been hearing you say that, and now I really see why, and I really feel that in my house. So that's really important. And don't wait until it's a serious problem to invest in your health, right? And that goes across the board, but air too. So things like molds and bacteria that might grow in spaces is also really important. And then we kind of touched on the animal hair and dander, the chemicals, pesticides, fumes, things like that. Okay, so simple common sense steps to reduce indoor air pollution. So what are some things that we can actually do, right? That's the question, because this just kind of seems dire, right? What are we doing with making all this pollution and then we can't escape it, right? And so this is going to be some tips from the EPA that you can do to help cleanse your space at home or at work or wherever. So don't store chemicals, solvents, glues, pesticides in your home. Find a safe place to store them where you're not going to be breathing those in all the time. Minimize the risk of deadly carbon monoxide gas by properly maintaining and venting heating equipment, wood stoves, fireplaces, chimneys, vents, especially if you live in a place that's cold and you use those things for a large part of the year. I don't even own most of those things because I live in the South, right? I think I've had one fire in a fireplace in the last decade, but the rest of those, for some of you that live elsewhere, you might be using wood stoves or fireplaces, things like that, for a large portion of the year. And that's really important that those are properly ventilated, right? And also installing carbon monoxide alarms on all levels of your home, because you would never want something to happen just because you didn't have an alarm, right? So that's really important. Also remove sources of air contaminants. So buy organic furniture not treated with chemicals, avoid harsh chemical air fresheners and cleaning products. We touched on that a minute ago. There are, in 2023, there really are a lot of options out there for healthier choices, both in fabrics and furniture, as well as in the things we use day to day on our bodies and in our home for cleansing. Obviously, don't idle your car, run fuel burning power equipment, or light a barbecue grill in your garage, basement, or other confined space. We always want plenty of proper ventilation for those types of things. And most importantly, clean the air using air filters, because the air will not just magically cleanse itself. And the less your lungs have to do, the better, right? So the more you do for the house, for your office space, for your school, wherever you're talking about, the less your lungs have to do, the less work your body has to do, and the healthier it can remain. Okay, so what to look for in an air filtration device now that we know we need one. So portable is definitely best, because you want to be able to easily move it around and not feel like you're stuck, like I only have one and it's just in the living room, right? If you only have one, it definitely is most important to be portable. The one we're going to show you in a minute, the one I have, is so awesome. I even take it on road trips. It's that portable. It's so easy to use and lightweight. So that's really important. Also, high efficiency filtration is recommended. So we really want to be looking at HEPA filters, right? Because we want to be able to gather things in that filtration system that are our biggest culprits and hardest to cleanse out of the air, right? And so that's going to be really important. I even saw an article, early in the pandemic that said that in some embassies across the world, they were using the Niken filters as support in the embassies for people who had to travel and were going to be in these spaces, which I think is just totally amazing. It's very cool. We definitely had filters going, as a doctor's office, we were open the entire pandemic, and we had filters in all of our spaces. And I'm so happy to say that we had no transfer of, virus during that time that we know of, through our office. And I really feel like a lot of that is because we are so careful to do everything we can to counter the pollution in our air and our space. And one of the things we do is have really dense filtration, right? And in all the common spaces that we use. And then I do that at home as well. So we also need to look at avoiding air filters that deliberately produce ozone. These are sometimes called ozone generators or ionizers. They'll be sold like that's a good thing, but it's actually not. And we're going to talk about ionization in a minute, but this is not what we're talking about when we talk about that. Okay, so we obviously want it to be cost effective. We definitely want it to be quiet. That's really nice. A lot of air filters, ones I've had in the past, were really loud. And I really don't want a white noise machine going all the time. I want to turn that on when I want one on, right? And so I want it to blend into the background, not be the centerpiece of the noise in my space. We also obviously want it to be easy to operate and maintain. Okay, so those are the things to look for no matter what filter you get. So luckily, the Kenko air purifier, the Niken purifier, fits the bill. So it does all of those things that we just talked about. So let's look a little bit more at that. So it has a multiple stage filtration that captures up to 99.97% of 0.3 micron particles in the air, meaning it's a HEPA filter, right? The KAP stands for Kenko Air Purifier, is patented to generate negative ions. It's one of the only machines that I've seen that generates negative ions without also producing ozone, which is really important. Remember, we said a minute ago, we don't want ozone. And so so we want to look for, yes, negative ions, no ozone. So what are negative ions exactly? So negative ions are what give you the feeling of being in nature, like when you're in a forest or by a waterfall, by the ocean, that calming sense that you get there is produced by the negative ions put off in those environments, often by running water. But this machine awesomely actually produces that for us. So we get this literally that calming natural effect just by being near it and in that clean air. This is called forest bathing, when people go into the forest to feel that, and you can actually have that in your home. So that's pretty fun. The pre-filter on this machine is actually reusable, which helps capture a lot of the bigger particles. So it makes the main HEPA filter last longer, right? Because we're cutting out some of the work it has to do by having the reusable pre-filter. So that's pretty awesome. Then those other filters will be replaceable. And then the machine is made with recyclable materials, which is always an important part of Niken's mission, because we don't want to be hurting the planet while we're helping it, right? Okay, so on this machine in particular, these are some things I really like about it, appreciate about it. It has a particle sensor, so it actually detects ambient pollution levels and operates automatically. So you can see on the machine here that right now it has that bar and it's red, purple, blue, and it's on that first little circle, it says is green. And so that means they just have it on that low setting right now. If you set it actually to auto, then this particle sensor will actually ramp up and turn the fan on higher to handle things that are in the environment in the moment if needed, which is totally awesome. But you just want it to be super duper quiet in the background. You can just put it on 1 or 2. I keep mine at 2 all the time. I still don't notice them at all. And it will still handle that. The particle sensor will still read what needs to happen. It just won't amp it up to handle it faster, right? So you can kind of choose how you want to use that depending on your preference. Either way, it's going to handle what it sensed in the air, which is pretty cool. So it can be on manual or auto, whatever you like, right? And it's gonna, the air quality display shows the room air quality at that point. So I always tell people when they first get a Kenko air purifier to put it in each room in their home and turn it on high and let it do its work in that room and move it around and do that to really cleanse the space, and then leave it where they want and move it around as they want, right? But it'll be interesting because they'll, usually people are getting one because, one, they just know prevention is better than waiting till there's a problem, but also maybe because they've had something going on in their home that they're concerned about, right, pollution wise. And so they're bringing this in to try to help alleviate that and support their bodies better. And so often they'll come back after they first use it and they'll say, it was bright red for hours when I first turned it on. And that is because it's reading what's going on in their home and reacting to that and cleansing it. So once it's clean, it'll turn blue. I love this feature so much. This also means, so I have, for example, a pediatric family practice. And when we have, say, a kid with a stinky diaper walks by, it amps up until it can cleanse that air so that everyone else doesn't have to smell it, which is lovely. But this is true for anything, right? Like we talked about earlier, any of those things going on in your home, you're cooking, and maybe it gets a little smoky with that delicious food you're making, then it's going to amp up to affect the air in that area to cleanse it. So really, really useful tool there. So it's also Energy Star rated. So the Kenko air purifier is Energy Star qualified, 35% more efficient than standard models is basically part of that. It saves 215 kilowatt hours per year. So it's very energy efficient is the point of this, really. And so it's environmentally friendly, right? And it covers 313 square feet. All right. So to breathe is to live. I mean, this is obvious, right? But it's true. And the Kenko air purifier really is a machine you can use, a filter you can use with a conscience, right? All these good things that we said about it are gonna help you be healthier, help prevent health issues. And I've had my same machine, I don't know, 15 years. Whenever this model came out, I've had it since then, a really long time. So they last too, which is really lovely because if you're going to spend money on something, you want it to really last. And I love mine. We're also going to sustain the environment, as we talked about, and help your body be healthier from the start. And then easy to share. So share better health and share a commitment to reduce, reuse, recycle by using machines like this. And it supports Mother Nature, which is always lovely. So it fits beautifully into our wellness home concept, which we talked about before, our greenhouse, if you will. And you can see some of the other items in this picture. And if you're interested in learning more, you can listen in on the other weeks. And this, I just love this so much. And I think Dr. Lindner is on the call tonight. So thanks, Gary, for this quote here. So the Nikan Wellness Home, a greenhouse for humans, the most logical and effective prevention-focused healthcare, self-care system in the world. So I would agree. So we invite you to be a part of our global wellness community, whether you just want to get awesome products to help you stay healthy, help your family stay healthy, or you want to find out about how to benefit your financial health as well. You can ask the person who invited you for more information all about Nikan. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warner. This is incredible. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just correct my slide. Dr. Warner is a gold consultant rank. So, and thank you very much. Amazing presentation. By the way, right now, the Kenko air purifier is about 45% off. Regular price in the US is $863, and you can get it right now for $479. So Kenko air purifier in Canada retail, it is $1,133, and right now you can get it $623 Canadian dollars. So just share the Yes My Wellness Home link. And as well, the HEPA replacement filter with 20% discount right now. So take advantage of these great promotions that we have. And remember, next Tuesday, we have Royal Diamond, Dr. Gary Lindner with Wellness Home, Why Everyone Needs One. So we invite you to join us next Tuesday. And thank you very much. Have a great evening and see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.